Here's the story of Isaac Newton's apple fall. I've never had an apple fall on my head, but I had a few coxes in my mouth during college. Just a phase. Phil Wang tells us the story with 2 bottles of beer and 3/4 of a bottle of whiskey for company.
Hello, I'm Phil Wang. And this is a story of how 2 of Britain's greatest scientific figures came together to change the course of science and Britain forever. So, the year is 1661, and a young Isaac Newton is on his family farm in Lincolnshire, and he's hoeing the turnips. I'm Isaac Newton, I'm so smart, I love science, I want to go to university. And then his mother, whose name is Hannah, turns up. She says, Oi! Oi, Isaac! You can't go to university, your life, your purpose is here on the farm, and you're not good for anything else. Isaac says, what's the point? I want to go to university. I want to make something of myself. I don't want to just pull up roots. I want to go to Freshers Week. And I want to join societies. I want to do ultimate frisbee. And then his mother, Hannah, says, oh, fine, you can go to university. But once you finish, you have to come back to the Shire, work them land. Isaac Newton gets to Trinity College, Cambridge. But his lectures are really boring. They didn't have any science or physics or maths to talk about because Isaac Newton hadn't invented it yet. So the lecturer would just be at the front talking about his breakfast. Today I had scrambled eggs with butter and pepper. And then the kids would be scribbling, writing stuff. And Isaac Newton gets up and he's like, this is boring. This isn't science. This is a gastronomical diary. This is not interesting. This is irrelevant. And the lecturer says, well, if this isn't good enough for you, you go at home and you teach yourself. And Isaac is like, fine, and he storms out of the lecture theatre, and the lecturer's like, okay, sorry about that, everyone, where was I? Oh yeah, then for our dessert, I had sticky toffee pudding. So he goes home, and he just works on his own in Trinity. He just works on science and maths, and he studies Galileo, and planets, and motion, and physics, and movement. So Isaac Newton gets to the end of his course. He says, hey, look, everyone, this is what I've been doing in my free time. This is the shit I've been working on while you've been talking about your breakfast. And all the professors look at it and they go, wow, this is proper smart. But you know what, Isaac? You're pretty smart. You can keep doing this stuff. We'll pay you to stay at Cambridge. 1 year in, tragedy happens. Cambridge has to close when the bubonic plague hits Cambridge. He's got to go back to his farm. He has to go back. He's got nowhere else to go. And he says, hi, Mom, I'm home. Cambridge didn't work out because of the plague. And Hannah's like, told you were good for nothing. Isaac's like, whatever, Mom. And he sees his family's apple tree. He sees his apples wriggle. And he sees this apple fall slowly down from the tree and hit the ground. And he goes, oh my God, because he's never seen anything fall, ever. He went, Eureka, I found it, which is where we get the phrase, I found it. So over the next decade, Isaac Newton works on his theories and ideas about gravity, light, physics, and eventually he thinks, I've got to take all this science and maths to the world. I've got to give it to the world. People must know that apples fall down. And so he writes Isaac Newton's Apple Notes, and he takes it to the Royal Society, which is like a gentleman's club for geeks. He says, oi, scientists! And they're all like, huh? Because they're all like, they're sleeping or napping or whatever. And then Isaac goes, oi, look at this. I've come with lots of science. I've come with lots of maths about apples and light. And the Royal Society, they all read them. And he says, this is rubbish. This is nonsense. This is absurd. Apples don't fall. And Isaac says, yes, they do. I saw it myself. Nah, nonsense. And they go, apple boy, apple boy. And they throw apples at him. He goes, fine, you're all mean fuckos. this maths, this science. It's going to change the world. I'm never going to share it with you. I'm never going to share it with anyone because you've been so mean. You'll never hear from me again. And he runs out of the Royal Society house. And it looked like the world would be denied some of the greatest leaps forward in science were not for a certain Edmund Halley. Now, Edmund Halley was himself a scientist, an astronomer. He was obsessed with astronomy. He was obsessed, especially with comets. And Halley says, I want to understand how comets work. I want to understand the mathematics behind them. I need expert help. I need a scientist. I need the best physicist in the land. And he hears a rumor about the finest physicist in the UK, a certain man called Isaac Newton. And so he thinks, okay, I don't know this, but maybe this Isaac Newton fella will understand science and maths and physics. So he makes a trip to Cambridge and he finds Isaac Newton. Halley says, are you Isaac Newton? And Isaac Newton says, who's asking? Edmund Halley, scientist. And Isaac Newton says, what do you want? Comets, how do they work? Isaac Newton says, oh, I'm done with that. That's all behind me. I've retired. I'm my own man now. What I do now is I sit in the corner and I jack off to the Spice Girls. And Edmund Halley says, well, yeah, sure. We'd all jack off to the Spice Girls if we had the time, but there's important stuff to do. Do you have any work that might be at all relevant to my curiosities? And Isaac says, not only have I figured out comets, I figured out, I think he takes like a pause for dramatic effect, the world. And he picks up this tome he's written. And it's a fucking book, mate. It's a book of all the maths you need to understand mechanics, physics, forces, coordinates, reactions, impulses, momentum, moments, energy. It's all in this fucking book, mate. And it's the Bible for dweebs. And he passes it to Halley and he goes, have a look at that, buddy boy. And Halley reads it and he's fast reading away, Halley. And he goes, oh, Jesus fucking Christ. This is a great book. It's got all the science we'll need for a couple hundred years. This is genius. You're a genius, Isaac. And Isaac says, yeah, I know. And Halley says, no, you're a proper genius. This has to be published. This has to be seen by not only the UK and Southern Ireland, but the world. Halley picks up and he runs over, he runs to the Royal Society, and Edmund Halley says, look at this, I want you to publish it, I want you to make it a book. And the Royal Society goes, all right, well, sounds okay. I'm afraid, though, we've just spent all our money on a book called What's a Fish? What's a Fish? And Edmund Halley goes, you've done what? And the Royal Society goes, you heard me the first time. We've spent all the money on a book about cod. And Edmund Halley goes, you're stupid, boys. And the Royal Society goes, what? Fishermen like it. And so for a second time, the Royal Society turns down Isaac Newton's ideas. And so Edmund Halley turns up again at Isaac Newton's office. And he says, Isaac, I've got good news and I've got bad news. Which one want first? Bad news first. Okay, the bad news is the Royal Society don't want to publish your book. Shit! Why won't those fucking dweebs work with me? Do you want to hear the good news? I'm not done! The Royal Society, what's royal about them? They're royal pricks. Are you done now? And as I said, yeah, I'm done now. The good news is, my family's rich, bitch! Do you want me to finance the publication of your book? And Isaac Newton says, yes, please. Great, let's make it, let's do it. Let's publish Philosophiae Naturalis Principia Mathematica. That's right, that's what this book's called. And so they do, they publish Isaac Newton's book, and that is how the two greatest British scientists of all time came together to create the most important scientific advancement in history. Thank you. I'm Phil Wang. Good night. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Next up, the story of Oliver Cromwell, a parliamentarian who chopped off the king's head. I mean, it sounds bad, but in Cromwell's defence, he was never accused of fucking a pig's head. Here's the joyous Judi love to tell us all about it, with a helping hand from 5 double brandy and cranberries. That's not part of your 5 a day, love.
I'm going to tell you the story of the first king that was executed in England in 1647. BC, GC, DC, GCSE.
1646.
Oh, shit. 1646. In England, there's a war going on, a civil war, yeah? So on one side, yeah, you've got Charles I and the Cavaliers, and on the other side, you've got Oliver Cromwell with the round heads. Charles I, it was like, I'm the king. Like, I'm the King Donna, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm bigger than Burger King, I'm the man. He does what the hell he wants. Oliver Cromwell was like, I'm sick of this shit, yeah? I'm sick of this man sitting up there saying he can run things. Is he mad? He's raking in the money, he's raking in the gals. I'm not having it. He was about democracy, yeah, and they were against the king ruling, basically. After 4 years of fighting, yeah, the Roundheads defeat the Cavaliers, and my man, the king, is finally arrested. So Cromwell decides that he's going to take the king to court. People was almost rioting. This is a big thing. You're going to take the king to court. Cromwell, a bad man, and he's taking the king to court. What? What do you mean you want to take my king? You mad? No, sir. So king was just like, people them, easy yourself. Easy, man, I got this. And John Bradshaw came and he was like, yeah, man like me, I'm gonna be the judge to deal with this thing, because King thinks he's the bad man, but I'm the real bad man. You understand what I'm saying? John Bradshaw said, you're being charged with, you know, traitorory, murder, all these other stuff. They're like, so how do you plead? He was like, look, let me tell you this once. I rule the nation, yeah? I get what I want on tap. You lot and your little system want to try and take me to court. But do you know who I am? I'm Charles I, love. Do you know what the first means? There was no one before me, and there's no one after me. I'm the king. Touch me, innit? He didn't even plead not guilty. He said nothing. Cromwell got like really vexed and was like, you know what, forget this shit. No matter what, they were going to take this bitch down. Cromwell looked at Bradshaw to say, like, ask him again, innit? And he said to him, how do you plead? And Charles was like, I'm a bad man, innit? Only God can judge me. You understand? And Cromwell went, guilty in Charles' voice. John was like, he's guilty. And Charles was like, what? Wait, hold on. And Cromwell went, ooh, you're guilty. I'm going to charge you and I'm going to execute your bumper clock, yeah, and chop off your head. The whole head. Charles turned into a little pussy owl at that stage. And he was like, not my head. Not my head. Which head? Which head? Which head? It's not like they're talking about, oh, he's going to go jail for a little while. Do you understand? They're talking about chopping off a man's head. So people was in there rioting, saying Babylon system, shouting God save the Queen. No, sir, this not gonna work. No. No, that's making my chest hot. No. Now the problem was, who is going to execute the king? Like the top bad man. Who's gonna do that? So Cromwell, he decides to go and find an executionist, right? So he goes up to one geezer and he's like, look, you've heard what's going on, innit? I need someone to chop off my man's head. He says to him, oh, that shit, are you mad? I'm not no snitch. Keep it moving, son. So he goes to the next guy. He said, look, you know how it is. I got a monkey to give you. It's 5 bills. He said, I can't do this. I don't want to be involved. I'm not cutting not white man head. No. I've got cousin, niece, marriage, wife. I'm not doing it. So he goes to the next man and he said, look, these people turn me down. I can see you're the big man around town. And he says to him, all right, I'll do it, but, you know, I've got to have a little moustache, and a beard, and a wig, because this is serious shit. Do you know what I mean? I've got a reputation, I've got to live here after. He said to him, all right, I'll give you 100 quid, what you saying? He said, all right, nice. Like, is my weave going to come out of the 100 quid? Or is that going to be separate? He said, no, it will be separate, brethren. You understand? He was like, whoa, I mean. So, it comes to the day where they're there to chop off his head. Now, everybody's in shock. And Charlie's there like, I haven't even done my hair, like, I'm the king, there's no bitches feeding me grapes, and you want to chop off my head. Could you imagine? This is like a historical moment, isn't it? It is, isn't it? Like, you're going to see a king, his head chop off. Tell him to kneel down. So he kneel down, he's there. The inner pussy hole in him starts to come out, innit? Is this really happening? Like Bomber Clark? Is this really happening? They're really gonna chop off my head? And they lift it up and they go, and his head chops off. Cromwell says, cruel necessity. I don't even know what that shit means, but he said it. People was getting mad, they were upset, and they were like, this is bad, this is terrible, this naga work. And then, what's his name? Cromwell, yeah? Cromwell, yeah, said, I'm going to rule everything, I'm going to run the nation. He stopped Christmas, he stopped birthdays, he stopped them from drinking alcohol. I think that was the biggest disrespect. He stopped them from drinking alcohol. So he locked off everything, yeah? And then people started to get vexed. And he caught malaria. He died slowly and painfully. Sad. And people, even though it was sad, people was like, yes, you arsehole bitch. You deserve to die like that because of what you did to Charlie. So Charlie, before he got his head chopped off, he'd only be getting jiggy, and he had a son. Now this son pops up out of nowhere and he's like, yo, I'm Charles II, original bad man. Me I gonna rule this place. Them take away my father, but them now gonna take away me. Proper bad man. And he's like, yo, me I go dig up. Cromwell. He digged him up out of the grave, yeah? Took his head, yeah? He stuck it on a spike and he displayed his head to everybody. This is what happens when you mess with my family. I'm a bad man. Now that's a bad man. You understand? And even though he dig up Cromwell's head, he was like, I want to give back to the people. Let's get some jerk chicken in. Let's get some reggae music in. Let's liven up the place and party. Let's drink and be merry. The people them said, woo! Charlie II, you're bad. Yeah. They were embracing it and they lived happy. Happy. They lived happy. Ever after. Yeah, they lived happy and had the biggest shindig, the biggest celebration ever. Because how can you stop people from drinking alcohol? It's disgraceful, isn't it? No, sir. That no gonna work, I'm telling you.